There we go. Hey, people, what's going on? This is another edition of Straight Talk. It's going to be my last Straight Talk of the year. Certainly glad for all of you supporting this year. We had to get it in last week. We were talking about with the singles and all that kind of stuff, being single and a millennial in church. But tonight, we got some special guests tonight. We're going to be talking to former pastor wives. A lot of people don't like the colloquial term first lady, but we're going to be talking tonight to former pastors' wives that possibly can help some women of God out to what to expect. Is it a good thing to marry a pastor? Is it a bad thing to marry a pastor? What does it feel like to be once the first lady with the leading voice and now just be a normal laity? We're going to talk about that tonight. And of course, we have some powerful women of God on tonight. We got the apostolics on, the Cujo She's, and we got all of it tonight. And we're excited. I'm gonna bring them on because I know it's late. And I'm not gonna hold you long. I'm gonna hold you about 30 to 45 minutes because Mama's chili is waiting on me. And I'm gonna eat some of my Mama's chili. King's been hating because I've been eating good. But nevertheless, I want you all to like and share. Like and share. Over 73% of women are in the church, and this is high percentage of single women in the church. And a lot of people are single and not married. But these women of God are going to bring you some expertise. We didn't come here to bash. We didn't come here to throw their laundry in all the dirt. But they're going to share their pain, their experience, and I hope it bless you tonight. Come on, so let's bring them on tonight. Overseer Martha. Martha, don't you weep. Let me get this. So Paulette Johnson. And we have the track expert herself, a former tracker, All-American, Sister Dr. Ann Mercer. God bless all of you all. Thank you for coming in and tuning in.
Hello, sisters. Bless you, Bishop.
God bless you all. You all have unique testimonies. You have books in you, and everybody wants to know what is it to be like to be a first lady. A lot of women in the church want to be a first lady. And so maybe you all can touch on that. Is that a good desire to want to be a first lady? We're going to oversee Martha, you from the top.
Of course you would.
I ain't calling you all these title shucks. But we're going with Martha, Paulette, and then we go in. And is it a good thing to want to be a pastor's wife?
I would say no, because there is a false pretense. There's a falsified view of a pastor's wife. They see the outward appearance. They think it's glamorous. They see when she gets to church and, we're dressed real pretty. We're sitting in the corner and everybody seems to tend to us. But that is not the truth of the matter. That is not the real story. The real story is there's a lot of work that goes behind it. There has to be a grace in your life. Let's start there to be a pastor's wife, because you have to go through things that you got to be able to handle. You have to have tough skin. You can't be you can't be jealous, because there's going to be people that has to talk to him. You can't have these issues going on. So a lot of people want to be a pastor's wife because they see what they think it is, but they don't understand that a lot of times pastor's wives are not treated correctly behind closed doors. They see when we come out and sit down, but they don't know what you go through behind closed doors. So you have to be able to handle being a pastor's wife. Growing up, yes, it looked like it was a beautiful thing to be, but when you get into the thick of it, it's not. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of prayer. If you're going to be a true pastor's wife, it's a lot. So I would say, no, it's not a great desire to be, not if you can't handle it. It could break you.
All right, Paulette.
I think that my first question to any woman would be, do you want to be a pastor's wife or do you want to be a first lady? Because it's a difference if you're married to someone who is a pastor, because that's your husband first, and he just happens to pastor, he accepted his calling. But if you have a desire to be a first lady, I believe that that's the desire because you want some type of notoriety. You want what looks like the glitz and the glam, and you want to be popular. So like I never really liked the whole title of First Lady. But for those desiring to be a pastor's wife or first lady, I would ask them, what is the reason that you desire that?
That's good. That's good. And praying for you. Love you. This is your first Christmas. This is your first holiday without your mom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be praying for you. Stay strong.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I think my view is a little different. I appreciate all my sisters, things that they pointed out, which is absolutely correct and amazing. But I think coming from, I guess all of us have come from the position of being a first lady before. I've kind of sit on both sides of the fence, and I'm circled around a lot of first ladies. So when I have women or I counsel women who have a desire to be a first lady or an elect lady, as we say, or a pastor's wife, I often ask them three questions. Number one, have you done your soul work? Because if you're not healed going into that position, what you are lacking is going to be elevated. So you have to deal with your insecurities. You have to deal with a plethora of emotional instabilities so that you can be emotionally healthy to stand in that position, because it is a grace, as our sister just said. Number two, do you have the capacity to hold that vision? Because going into it, you have to learn how to be a powerful number two while you know you are number one, which means there's going to be a season when that church and that ministry is going to be his first wife until he is mentored and until he comes to the place of maturity, realizing that the family is more important than the ministry. Okay. Number three, I always ask them, why do you want to be one? Like she just said, my sister before me, because it is detailed a lot, because we are birthers, because we are posture carriers. You have to know that you were first called to that position, because a lot of women that step in those roles are not prepared to be a first lady, or they're not prepared to be to carry the load of what that position holds. So it's more to it than the glitz, like they said, in the glam. And you see the pastor anniversaries, and you see the big hats, and you see the red bottoms. Well, back in my day when we were coming up, a lot of first ladies that I saw what red bottoms wasn't popular then. Now you see, a different scope of being a first lady. So I guess it just depends on what your motive is. Like my sister said before me, what's your motive? And then I have a girlfriend now. She was like, I know I was born and to be married to a pastor. Like that is what I was. I know I was. You can't convince her otherwise. And she is such the sweetest thing. She is the most beautiful soul. And she was married to a pastor. Was married to one for 17 years, and they got divorced. And that's just what she believe her calling is. Now me, I'm like, nah, sugar, I can't do that. So I just think it's about perspective. It's about perspective. Now I had that rodeo ride, sugar. Yeah,
so the question is, that most people would have to ask from a host. A good host will bring out the questions that people are thinking. So how does a pastor and a first lady, I know how, but I'm asking as a host, how does a pastor and first lady who hears from God, beautiful couple, powerful, influential, end up in divorce court? Can you explain, try to humanize your marriage or your relationship? Because even though you're a pastor, that's your calling, but you all are still a human. Maybe there's no compatibility. Maybe there's just the way you married each other was off the wrong foot. So, Paula, you could dive into that. People want to know, how did you all end up at the place of divorce? And you're supposed to be. They're going to say you're supposed to be a pastor first lady. How do you get divorced?
Right.
Who want to answer that? Oh, okay.
I'll answer that one first. Well, we ended up, I ended up divorcing because I had exhausted all avenues with staying together. And, it was just something that I had to do. How we got to the place of even considering divorce, I think that on both halves, it came Sister Ann said, from not being whole from past traumas, so that when the two come together, there's still some underlying things that we both have to deal with. Also, not being friends first before we got to that level of of marriage or whatever, because I think for myself, there were certain times in my marriage that I felt like I couldn't be myself, and that I had to have this, or I had to put on this facade of first lady, and it just really wasn't me. I wanted to be myself. And the way that my ex-husband was, he was very he was a pastor. He was your traditional pastor, and there were certain things that he did not like, and I felt like, I don't know, Bishop, I was like the Bishop May of first ladies. You get what I'm saying? I wasn't your traditional first lady, and I wanted to be myself. And because I had come into the marriage and he had already been pastoring and had a church, I didn't want to ruin things. So I kind of like suppressed who I really was and my personality. And I think that was the clash that we had, and how we ended up divorcing each other. But like right now, we're the best of friends, we're family, but we just didn't work good in a marriage.
Great, great. That's a great thing, and a good thing to know that you guys are friends, or for our friends, and we appreciate that. So, Martha, how does the pastor who hears from God and the first lady end up in divorce court? People must understand the pastor is the calling. You're the herald. You're the voice of God. But that has nothing to do with manhood, being a husband or being a father. You could be a great preacher and just don't know how to be a husband. It ain't always because you're a sorry husband, you cheated your dog. Sometimes men don't know how to be a husband. Can you explain that to people that's listening, so they would know how do you all got to this point here?
For me, after 15 years in prayer, we actually came to the end of the road. There was nowhere else to go. Like Paulette said, we exhausted all measures of trying to stay together. And I think we actually stayed together a little longer because of ministry, which is not a good thing.
Absolutely.
Because now we're broken leading people. And I prayed about it, and I knew that God had a call on my life, which I didn't know going into the marriage. So being married pulled that out of me. I had no idea who I was going in. But once God started showing me who I was, I started praying, because I agree with Paulette. I wasn't being myself anymore. I was really just being this picture perfect wife that you wanted to be, but that wasn't who I was. So I started praying about it, and God made it easy for us to go our separate ways and still be cordial, still be friends. We're co-parenting a 12-year-old. I don't have no sad story to tell anybody. Would I get married again? Yes, I would, because I didn't have a bad experience, but I had an experience. So it's not bad once you are mature enough to realize that you are not compatible no more. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
All right, Ann. I know you
I
got
wish
this.
I wish I could be as sweet as they are. Lord have
I
mercy.
know
I'm
you.
like,
I know.
Lord,
See, this is why we got
Lord,
the panel, because you
I'm
all.
learning
Hey,
lessons
listen. It
tonight.
ain't
I
a lot
gotta
of
be.
first ladies that's ex first ladies. A lot of people like, I can't believe you would do this. Yeah, you have to have the testicle fortitude to be able to deal with and talk about things that people are thinking about, that just don't have the fortitude to go out and talk about this. Today is not about us. It's about somebody that's listening that we can help.
Right.
And so your story is your story, and it can't be changed.
Yeah, I want to say this. I mean, just being honest and transparent, I'm still in a place where I'm asking God to help me deal with him and to co-parent and everything. And that's just the honest truth. So I think ours was a little different. The first time, and many of you all know my testimony, the first time the Lord told me to give him back. That I wasn't supposed to marry him anyway.
Lord have mercy.
Did the Lord told me to give him back, and I wrestled with God because that didn't sound like the religious way that people would say God would speak to somebody, but God spoke to me and said, if you give him back, I will birth more in the earth realm for your name that you will not be able to fathom how big I'm going to do it for you. And I'm
Okay,
still
and I'm
seeing
about
the
to stop
seed
you as
of
a
that
host.
unfolding.
I'm about to really stop
What?
you and put you in the hot seat. I'm gonna give you a one-on-one solo. But I want to ask you this. So how because somebody's watching and saying the Lord said you're supposed to give him back. That's after you got old,
Yeah.
I don't know, young, whatever. But my question was, how did you end up having a relationship with the pastor or falling in love with him? Because there's women
Well,
out here who's watching their pastor every week, who's single or whatever. How does that end up happening? Is there rules? Is there ways? Is there guards? What tools you can tell them not to fall into that?
let me say this. You know, you always get me in stuff like this. I don't know why I keep falling for this mess. But first of all, you know, when I was married to the bishop, I wrote a book about it, very transparent about my life. I think single women. I'm doing this. I'm writing this book to single women. Come out next year. But I realized that there's 17 million single women holding their households together, and a lot of them come to church looking for a replacement of a void that they didn't have either through the relationship with their fathers. And so they begin to look for someone to fill those spaces. And, you know, I'm kind of on the opposite side. You know, I've been in conferences and people be talking about buying Jezebel and put on the altar and kick that hoe out your church. And I often tell people, well, a hoe can't wake up, can't make another whole do nothing unless they are drawn together by the same spirit. So I
Wait,
was
what did you
not
just
in.
say?
You heard what I said. You heard what I
You
said.
all like
We
and
are
share.
so
Y'all listen, like and
we
share.
we are so quick.
Like
We are
it, like
so
wait a
quick.
minute, like and share. We're on the public's page. My public. Some people said I can't comment. We're on the public's
Oh,
page.
I'm sorry.
We're on Abundant Faith, and we're on YouTube. So make
I'm
sure
sorry.
you like and share. You all like and share this, and
Okay.
you think it's a spiritual thing that draws the people together?
Yeah, because we're spirit before we're flesh. We're spirit before we're flesh. So sometimes the commonality of our issues come together. That's why most affairs do not happen. They don't happen because there's a sex issue. Most times it happens because there's voids. So I'm already coming to church just all shattered into pieces emotionally. So now I meet this man who is shattered emotionally, and it goes the wrong way. You know, we get married and God tells me to give him back. No, I was not in love with him. Most single women fall in love with the power that the pastor walks in.
Yeah.
And so and that he's someone in power, he's someone that's a provider, and he's a protector. And so just that was it. But now I'm going through we get married and God tell me to give him back. God restores his first marriage. So then I live this single life.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I met this guy, and
What did you say?
I was pastoring a successful church. I said I met this guy for the sake of respecting him, who he is. I met him and we got married, and how we got to divorce court years later is it was a loss of identity, and I had to dummy down. I Lord, I'm trying to be politically correct because I know you're
No,
the
no, no.
archbishop of the
The title was
diocese,
Straight Talk.
but I had
The
to
title was
dummy
Straight
down.
Talk.
I had to dummy down a lot, and
Yeah.
I see that in a lot of first ladies. A lot of people may not agree with me, but you lose your identity when you don't know the roles of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So when there's a power play, peace sake and for the picture. So I became a picture. And I had to ask myself, am I going to live in his lie but die in my truth? And me living was more important than dying in this lie.
Okay, but let me
And
just start right here. For the voice of the
okay,
pastor, let me be the devil's advocate.
okay.
Do some, not just you all, because we're not talking about personal platform. I want you all to like and share this too, please. The people that's watching. Do the women of God want both worlds? Do they want the benefits of being the first lady, but yet want their own identity?
It depends on what you say benefits are. Because see, when I became a first lady, I already had money. I had cars. I had a house. I had shoes. So I wasn't going into that position looking for the look of one. I went into it because I felt like together we were a power team,
Right.
that we were a power couple, that we could really bring damage to the enemy's camp. So the next thing is, I don't believe that first ladies or people, period, your marriage. Listen, I know we have proclivities, right? Because we're flesh. I can forgive you for one affair. I probably can forgive you for two affairs. But when it's an issue in your flesh, I can't. This is just Ann. This ain't everybody else. I can't keep having girlfriends being the second wife and on the front row, and I'm in the chair. So I think it came to a point where when the disrespect started, I couldn't, I had to save me, and I couldn't lose me. And I have plenty of first ladies that they'll go with it because they just feel like that's what they're supposed to do. I'm not anointed that way.
So,
Because
so Martha, so what I hear what Ann is saying is this is powerful. So first ladies have breaking points, and it seems like
Absolutely.
the first ladies that have to be some of the strongest individuals in the church because you got to be there
absolutely,
for the people and you have to be there for your husband. And while you're being there for the
absolutely.
Absolutely.
people and the husband, you sort of lose yourself. So, how, Martha, can you talk to that about? That's one thing about Kenya. Kenya is a rebel. A lot of
She
people,
is.
She is. I love
she's
her.
a
She
solid
really
assassin.
is. She
I
really
She
am
is.
a
is.
vocal rebel, but Kenya is a solid assassin uh, because
And she has her own identity.
yeah, she has
Right.
her own identity. She don't wear the first lady hat. She don't wear the like she just changed my Facebook status. But anyway, she don't wear the first. Somebody was watching that, King. You just cut off. You cut off 10 people. Um, so she don't wear the traditional hats. She don't do all this kind of stuff. But she's working on her PhD. And I want you to talk to that, Martha, because I think it's so important for first ladies not to get lost in their husband's
Right.
ministry. Because if he gets sick or
Right.
die, it's bad for you all. Some bishops will
Right.
come in, take over the church, won't give y'all nothing, and you all the one. People don't know the sacrifice of a first lady because they mom or grandmother
Absolutely.
or they haven't been one, so they just judge them by
Absolutely.
what they
Right.
say. Can you talk to that point, Martha? How important to get your own identity and not totally lean on your pastor or husband's church because they can be vicious. Then
Absolutely.
Paulette, you can talk to that as well.
So it's very important to keep your identity. First of all, to get your identity. So if you come into the marriage as and become a first lady and you don't even know who you are before that, you will never really get to know who you are because you're going to fall into this um trend of being your husband's wife and doing whatever it is he desires you to do for that position. However, if you ever come into who you are, you have to keep that identity. I lost my identity in my marriage. I came in one way, but I figured this is what I was supposed to be as a first lady. And I heard Ann say she has a circle around her, that she's around a lot of first ladies. It's important to be around like minded people to keep your strength. I didn't have that. So I lost my identity and became the undergirder to his ministry, not even knowing I had my own not even knowing I had my own. So I thought I was doing the wifely duty. I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do, undergird his ministry, be there for whatever he needs. be there at all times of day, night, whatever, for whatever his need was. And I was being the good wife. But that was not the truth. The truth of the matter is I had a voice and I didn't know I could use it.
Wow.
Ooh,
So
that's
then when I
good.
began to use my voice, then I began to be disrespectful. When I began to use my voice, then I began to be this person that they don't know no more. Well, I don't know who you are anymore. Well, I'm becoming who I was before I lost me.
Wow.
So after divorce, I actually have people that know me. They said, welcome back. I had no idea I was lost.
Wow.
No idea that I was lost. So it's important to
That's
keep your
good,
identity.
sister.
It's
That's
important to
good.
know your identity. Ladies, if you don't know your identity before you say I do to a pastor, don't say I do. Get to know you first. Then you
Absolutely.
hold on to that. But you could go, Paulette.
I think my testimony is a little bit different. I went into my marriage because I loved my husband. I didn't go into it because he was a pastor and I'm going to be a first lady. I loved my husband, and he was my friend, and we lost that somewhere in the mix, our friendship. And when I say we lost that, when you're with a friend or a friend to someone, you allow them to be themselves.
Right.
You know, I mean, this is straight talk. I mean, there was sometimes, well, in the beginning of our marriage, when we would get home, I would talk, and I think my ex-husband is on here, he commented, but I would be talking to him and I'd be like, nigga, did you see, and you know, and stuff like that. And then he would say, girl, you call me nigga so much that I'm thinking it's my name. But it was also two cultures coming together because I'm from the East Coast, he was from the Midwest, and we've actually had conversations. And you know, he said it like, I wish I would have allowed you to just be yourself. So going into it for me, I wanted my husband to be my first best friend, and us being in ministry together was just a bonus to it, because my husband, well, my ex-husband is a very powerful preacher, and I am a very powerful woman. And if he could have just allowed me to be myself as I allowed him to be him, then we would have complemented each other in ministry. But first and foremost, I wanted him to be my husband and my best friend. And I think that some of the issues that we ran into, I felt like that he was putting the church first. And don't get me wrong, I understand, like, you have to understand, my ex-husband and I, we weren't the traditional pastor and first lady. We were not like born into a church, although we went to church as we were younger, but we were like from the world and then saved by grace. And then as we were saved, God began to show both of us who we were. He was called to pastor. And when we had got married, I think I had been fairly new as far as surrendering to God, maybe about 4 years. And it had been prophesied to me. And, you know, my bishop's daughter used to say, you know, you're meant to be a first lady, you know, you're a good help. So it's like when I had got introduced to my ex-husband, I'm like, okay, this is it. At the time that it had happened, that's another thing. When people prophesy certain things to you, you have to be able or be mature enough to receive a prophecy. Because it may have been a grace for me to be a pastor's wife, it didn't mean that it had to be the first pastor that I was introduced to. You understand what I'm saying?
That's
And I
good.
thank God, you know, for my union
That's
with my
good.
ex-husband, because he have a beautiful son, but I wasn't mature enough to receive prophecy.
Wow.
And to understand that just because you get a word, it doesn't mean that it'll manifest.
Come on, Paulette.
Another component that really worked with me agreeing to marry him is because, like I said, we were from similar backgrounds. We weren't raised in church, although we had relationship with God. Our parents had you know, sent us to church, but we weren't church, you know, we wasn't church kids. We weren't PKs. We didn't have, well, his dad, he does have a lineage. His dad is a pastor, but he wasn't around his dad to see it. But it's like when you know you have something in you. So I just wanted my husband. And I think Ann has said before, like, that there will be some times where if they don't mature, they will treat their church as their wife. And a lot of times in my past marriage, I felt as if, like, the church is not your wife. The church is the bride of Christ. I'm your wife. You have an assignment to shepherd them, but I'm the first ministry. You get what I'm saying? And it doesn't mean that I was trying to pull him away from doing ministry things, but I just wanted him to be my husband first, you know, and understand me and get me and be attentive to me and what I was going through. It was a big culture shock. Me leaving the East Coast, going to the Midwest, I left everything. And he was all that I had. And so I think that was my issue. It wasn't about being in ministry. It was about him knowing the balance between marriage and ministry.
Well, this is great comments. You all please like to share. We're going to do about 15 more minutes and we'll be done. And how important is it? Everybody that can tag 7 names that know they're dating or single somebody. And we want to get these numbers up. It's a good 50 people on. That's good. How important is it to not allow the church to ruin your marriage? Let me ask you this question. I'm coming from a different background now. Why did the first ladies have to feel as though they're competing with the church?
Because I think it's a breakdown of priorities with the pastor. The way the church see a man treat his wife, sometimes they don't see boundaries. And I think the pastor, the man, has to set the boundaries so the people can respect his wife. I often tell women, never underestimate where you are, because I really feel like, this is what I had to keep telling myself: never underestimate where you are. God does nothing by happenstance, and he doesn't waste nothing. And I had to keep my posture correct, because I had to understand what happens when David and Saul are anointed. Will I cut his skirt when I have it in my hand? And so what I had to do was understand, outside of him, I had to build a relationship with the people, because the church can't divide this if we're together.
Right.
But I was purposeful, and I would have conversations with him. I wasn't threatened, or I would have conversations. Okay, we need to be together. We need to have a united front, not just united in front of the people, because we had an amazing relationship until, things just started happening. But you have to have a relationship so the church can, if the church see you all are united and being healthy, then they know they can't try this union. They know who to try and who they can't try.
That's
So
true.
answer this question: yes or no?
Well, Bishop, just to piggyback off of something you said when you were talking about you and Lady May, because you guys were together so young and you accepted your calling while you guys were already married, do you think that plays a part, because you guys had a relationship and friendship before you actually went into pastoring?
I don't know. This guy's great. I don't know. I don't know how King ain't on this panel, so don't even. I don't know.
I think
that's what I was like. Why is she not on this panel?
I'm not about to try to act like I know the
Lady May.
answers and deep like that, because I don't. It's just a guy. It's just
because you guys have a friendship, and that's what shows
it
that
wasn't
you guys
because
are
that was
united
just
outside.
But y'all look authentic too.
Yeah,
it don't look
what
like
you
it's
see,
a
what
picture.
You see at the house is what you get.
Absolutely, you all are very authentic, and I think what is the breakdown now of what we're seeing. There's so many people who are living the picture, for financial reasons, or they're living the picture because this is all she knows. I know a lot of first ladies who are part of organizations. If you're married to a bishop and he holds a title in a church or in this organization, when he died, you have no say so of his body.
None.
So you just come there and look pretty and you shut your mouth, and then they take your money to pay for the funeral. Couldn't be me.
What
so
do
then
you all notice? It's a lot, and you all are watching. We got about 10 minutes ago. There's a lot of miserable first ladies.
It is.
Absolutely.
A whole lot of them.
Nobody's talking about it. There's a lot of first ladies that's miserable, feel like they're competing,
feel
like somebody else has a
them.
greater voice than theirs. So I came up with a concept. I told Kenya this. I said the traditional mindset is that the first lady needs to be over the women's department, to be over this. I said I would rather have you as a wife than running my church.
Right.
Because I want you to make sure this is a healthy relationship. Grow as God leads you and go into it as God leads you. And I think there was a grace for her to be able to develop. A lot of times you see, I think Paulette said it plain in view. Her and Antoine is great friends now. She, give accolades to his ministry. A lot of that is just the process to develop into the person you are now. It has nothing to do
Yeah.
with demonic and this and that. It ain't got to be bad.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just didn't never had the opportunity to develop it. A lot of trouble that Kenya and I did have is because of the youthful mistakes, or because who I was. I didn't develop into the person I am now. And that,
but y'all had
like
a
my mother
mind to
told her,
work together, though.
yes, and you got to be able to work together, and you got to
Right.
you got to literally check church folks.
You
Church
do.
folks
And
they
then
got-
you guys also had
You
a
do.
good foundation. You guys had a good model. You had your grandparents, and then you had your parents too, people that were supportive.
Yeah,
You know, that's having a
did.
support system is good,
Right.
because that's one of the biggest things. When you are married to a pastor or a pastor and first lady, who do you talk to? Because in my
Right.
marriage, it was like, you better not say, hey,
There she is.
like, you know, who
What's
can
wrong
you
with your
talk
hair?
to? You know, who can you talk to? Because you don't want to tell your business, and then you can't trust everybody. I
That's
mean, there
true,
was a
Paulette.
point where there was a bishop and a first lady. Like I said, we had exhausted all avenues. We had tried Christian counseling, counseling with a man, counseling a woman, counseling with a bishop. Like, I really wanted to save my marriage. So I think that having a support system, or having that couple that you can go to when there is issues that arise in the marriage, and we
Let me ask
really
y'all
didn't
this.
have
I
that.
know both of y'all, you New Yorkers and all y'all dominant personalities. How does it feel? Can you all go to your husband churches as friends? Would you all follow your husbands?
I absolutely, my husband is a dynamite preacher. That I can never take that away.
You said yeah.
I can never take that away from Pastor Antoine Hespeth. He can preach. And that was one of the issues that I had with God. Because when we was going through our stuff, he would still preach. The people would get delivered. And I'll be sitting up there like, God, how could you? You know? But you can't take that away from him. And I'll never try to take that away from him. When we were married and we went through our stuff, I felt as if he was a terrible husband. Fast forward, I can take that back. He wasn't a terrible husband. He just wasn't a matured husband at that time. But as far as him preaching and with the word of God, I can never take that away from him.
Well, Lady Mae told me, we've been married 26 years, this year 27 together. She told me she would go to my church with my new wife. I said, what? She said, I wouldn't care. See, me, if she had a new husband, I commend y'all husbands. I think y'all husbands are mature. I'm going to give them a shout out. Because if y'all try to date and y'all was Kenya, y'all have to fight me every week. I mean, I'll be showing up outside the church. I'll be blowing the horn. I'll be acting a pure fool. They'll be like, no, you got to go.
Yeah. I mean,
well, mine is deeper. Mine is just deeper than that. You know my story. So it can't, it's, you know, I don't disrespect him because he is the father of my twins. I don't disrespect him for that. And, you know, so that's why I don't say much. I don't, you know, he's a preacher, you know, he preaches, and, but me sitting, I can't do it. And it is not what happened. And it's not what happened now. It's the continuation, because I rather, let's just move on from me.
Martha, how's important? I'm just saying that because y'all, you know, I really thank you for this panel. Y'all bless. People are inboxing me saying you don't know how much this is blessing me. The inboxing. People are even scared to comment publicly, but they're saying this is blessing. How important is you to as a first lady, you talking to some first ladies out there, to keep that sex appeal for their husband or for the evangelist?
Before we say sex appeal, can we talk about something that we really need to tell first ladies? Have your own stuff. Make sure you have a bank account.
Oh, we already
make
talked
sure.
about that.
No. Before we talk about sex, because no, wait a minute.
All right,
that's true.
We can flip y'all. We can ride you. We can do all that kind of stuff. Good.
Come on,
we can do all of that.
On.
We can back it up. We can cook naked. We
I
can slap it. We can ride it. We can strip it. We can do all of that. But there are so many women. They know how to. They know how to have sex, but they don't know how to write a check. They don't know how to. They don't know what's in the bank account. They don't know how to
manage
if
money.
their name should be on the mortgage or should their name be on the note. They don't know. They don't even know they don't know how to run business.
Mhm.
And so you look beautiful, but you don't know business.
Right.
So I need you to be a businesswoman and be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to eat Mama's chili. This is good. I'm eating
Okay.
Mama's chili, and then this is very important. I think a lot of people. I just had somebody text me from Oregon, Portland, Oregon, and they asked me, "The woman of God is telling the truth because my husband left me, and I helped build a church to several thousand members, and I was left with nothing."
And you left with, you know why? Because you didn't have a good friend circle around you. Somebody should have told you, okay, you should have known how much was in a bank account. You'd have never leave that marriage with a wrinkled skirt and memories. You helped build it. You you sacrificed and
Absolutely.
you left with nothing. No, you don't ever do that. You don't listen. My brother, I'm gonna say this. My brother was a deacon in his church. When my brother got divorced, we sat over in Mexico and we strategized everything what he was going to do. I said, only thing I want you to do, all I want you to do is take care of your wife. This baby walked out of this divorce, the first settlement, $1.3 million. The second one was $750,000. That's in investments and properties and stuff. One thing I honored him was this. He honored the years this woman labored with him in building his life.
That's mature.
Mhm.
That's if we could get men of God to appreciate and respect the fact before you go get this little cute secretary that don't know what we went through to help you build this. You have to understand,
Hmm.
woman of God, let me tell you something. You can speak in tongue all day, but you better be speaking in tongue going to the bank and putting your name on that account and talking about, no, he pays everything. I don't know nothing. He even shops for me. Girl, bye. You better live smart. And I'm not, and I don't, and then let me say this extreme. I don't like women that say, girl, I'm gonna take him for everything he has. Nah, boo, that's not smart advice either. That's not smart advice
Wait a
either.
minute. Why is it always the secretary? Why you always say the secretary?
Because she spends the most time with.
Secretary, if it's the secretary, the best friend, because I know some people that date the I done been around it all, and I've
What'd you
been
say,
around and
Martha?
heard it all.
Because they spend the most time with him.
Oh,
They always in his face. There's always, I need to talk to you. I need. So it's always a secretary.
Well, that's one thing I
You
can
know,
give my
or it could be
ex-husband
another
credit
preacher.
for. He didn't
Oh, it
never
definitely
mess
could
with
be another
nobody
preacher.
in church. That's one thing
You
I
know,
can say.
it could be anybody.
That's one thing
You
I
know, I
think
mean,
the
I'm just
ones.
saying secretary as an example, but it could be
Yeah.
anybody. I wrote in my book, don't waste your legacy over
Mhm.
somebody who don't understand it.
Right.
Makes
But
me
then I think that in certain times, like Bishop Mays, he always says he has this saying that sometimes we can manufacture a cheater. Now, as far as with my marriage, it was an infidelity on a sexual, but there's different levels of infidelity.
absolutely,
And
Absolutely.
absolutely.
being totally transparent, my mouth was reckless. So in my
Not you,
frustration,
not you.
yes, me.
Not
Oh
you,
yeah,
pretty
they'll touch
girl.
you.
No, I'm just
y'all knew you.
kidding.
I would have punched you and knocked you out.
Yeah, my mouth was very reckless. So, in my frustration to him not being the mature husband, I would say certain things. And then, if there was another woman or another woman that was involved, she was building him with her mouth while I was tearing him down.
Oh,
So, that was my mistake. So, although
wow.
it might have been not been an
Wow.
infidelity as far as with sexual, but when you got somebody at home that's constantly coming at you like this, and this person is speaking nice, you're the man of God and you deserve this.
Right.
It's like, you get what I'm saying? That's how they can get drawn into it. So it's not always a sexual thing.
Right.
So,
It's
and then, like,
emotional.
the question that you were bringing up, Bishop, as far as with, first ladies and satisfying their husband, sex was never an issue with my ex-husband and I did everything that I was supposed to do as a woman. I never turned him down. When we were going through our stuff and our separation, that's when I started to withhold. But I felt like there's nothing there. So why should we pretend? You get what I'm saying? But when we were married and we were good, I never withheld from him. There was nothing, we didn't sleep in separate rooms, or anything like that. When we were mad at each other or whatever, he might fall asleep on the couch, but I was always the one, even if I was upset at him, like, come on, get in the bed. And that was another thing as far as with maturity in our marriage, because there was a lot of times with my ex-husband, he spent a lot of time in his single years, he would always be out on the couch. And then, like, when I wanted him to come into the bedroom while we got married, he would be like, I ain't got a curfew and da 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 da. And I would have to tell him, well, look at the Huxtables. It's about your end of the day. It's about no, but think about it. It's about
You were
winding
so
down.
cute.
Pillow
And I would
talk.
have to tell him that, like, even if you come to bed until I fall asleep and then you go back out into the bed, the living room, but I want to go to bed with my husband at night. I want to fall asleep with my husband at night. But as far as with, you satisfying your husband and, satisfying his sexual need is very important, because what you won't do, another woman is ready, willing, and able.
Honey.
Well, it's important that pastor wives, well, I want to say this. Now, y'all may get mad at me for this. I think the pastors, oh boy, I won't say it.
No, say it.
No, I think
Straight talk, Bishop.
No. I'm trying to see how I can fix this up. It's important that I go back to what Ann was saying, touching on it, that we get our business straight as couples, the husband and the wife. Particularly for someone like Kenya and I, it would be a hard case even though I would take care of Kenya regardless, but it would be a hard case because Kenya, most of the stuff that we have, the judge would look at us like she gonna get half because we got it out of the dirt.
Yeah.
And we got it since I was 14 and she with me now. It ain't like she just started dating me last year.
Right.
So it's important for us to make sure our business is straight. For example, of Abundant Faith, my successor for now is Armani, but Kenya is a pastor. That means they can't come and take our church.
Right.
Some constitutions, she's no co-pastor, although Kenya will hold it down to Armani decides he go do what he gonna do. That's business, where the church and the laity and people around you can't come in and just take over. And also, if I was to marry again, I would take care of my wife. I would take care of the new woman, but I don't think she would get what Kenya got.
Right.
That's just period. I mean, so we need to make sure, I go back to what Ann said on all seriousness, we need to make sure before we say I do, we need to make sure we get our business right. And you women of God who watching us need to be able to speak up and say, how you going to take care of me? Because chances are the women outlives the man. And what I'm going to do after this, it's the G.E. Patterson calls. She went on to be the Lord, but Sister Louise is taken care of. And you men who know they're jealous and envious so their wife even consider getting married, well, take care of her so she won't have to make it a business arrangement. So she won't have to get married. If you take good care of it, everything will be all right. So I agree with that, and you all need to do more than just shop. You need to make sure you're on his accounts on all levels, so they can't do. Because some people out here they'll told me bring the pastors next time. I'm gonna have a pastor's edition too. But we need to make sure that we look out for ourselves and each other. Right. And so we can really be blessed. Martha, you have anything close? I'll give all y'all a minute to close. Was anything you all want to say? Marry a pastor, yes or no?
That's a question. Would I marry a pastor?
Again?
Absolutely. But I would marry him differently.
All right.
Definitely.
Okay, so life after the pastor. I don't want no preacher, no pastor. I like men that are in the world, that are entrepreneurs, that have a relationship or reverence to God. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. And that's
No,
just what I like.
and you agree with that, Leanne? Where you?
I don't want to date. I don't want to date a pastor, preacher, praise team leader, drama, usher,
Prophet.
uh, finance committee, the board of directors. I don't. I nope. I don't. I want him
Why?
to love God.
Well, it's
I
not
don't.
because of my marriage, because
It
after I've
no.
been divorced for some time now, but I've dated or talked to men in the church. It just don't work. I'm good.
I don't want that. I don't want that. I just don't want that vibe anymore. I don't want that responsibility. It's not that I'm broken. I'm mad. I'm angry.
Yeah.
I'm
Now,
around a
y'all.
different.
Somebody said y'all ain't healed it.
No,
Oh
they
yeah,
just
I'm
not my
healed.
type.
It
That's
has nothing to
not my
do with
type.
him.
It's not my
Okay,
I
okay.
have
Now
met
listen.
businessmen
Okay, wait a minute. Now let
who
me tell you.
love God.
This is what got me. Now, for example, the headspace were my friends. So I was mad at both of them, giving it to them, both of them. People don't know. People judge stuff and they don't know what they be talking about. I was like, y'all can work this out. My point in saying this is that how do you all know that now you're not the same? I heard this from some of you all. You were not the same person you were, but now you're different. How do you know it may not work again?
Mm-mm.
Because I think for me now where I am, because I have not been involved with a man of God, people that I have dated that are entrepreneurs, they are out in the secular world and they're doing community things, and I've been used in that capacity. As far as my ministry, talking to different women and just the different stuff like that. I mean, going into my marriage or being married, I thought that my ministry was connected to being married to a pastor. Now I see that that's not the case. My ministry is my ministry, whether I'm married to a pastor or not. And I can do my ministry in the marketplace even better because now I'm being in contact with these people who probably will never step foot into a church. And I might be the only
So
Jesus
let
that
me
they
hold you
hear
right there
of.
for the people that's watching in the back. They're gonna say, how do you go from first lady to not wanting to pastor at all? Just explain that because people gonna want to hear that.
From not my ex-husband, but it was dating people that were saved in church afterwards and getting the same type of results. It's different. Because now if I talk to somebody, they don't know me as being a pastor's wife. They don't even know the call that's on my life. But when they get to know me and have conversation, they recognize it. And then when I do reveal it to them, they allow me to be me first. If I go into it saying that, then I'll be repeating the whole thing over and over again. You get what I'm saying? So I go in creating these friendships and being myself, and then I let them know who I am and what's on my life. I'm just not interested. Will it happen? I don't know, but I'm not looking for it, and I'm not interested. But I gotta go, y'all. Thank you so much, Bishop, for having
Thank
me.
you. All right.
All right.
Bye, sis.
All right. So Bishop Shack said God sent another pastor to find you. What did you do to turn him down? Did you turn him down, Ann?
I have opportunities all the time. When she was talking, this is the man. You eat that chili, making me want a bowl. Listen, uh, when she was talking, I thought about this. It's a brief story, and I'm gonna turn it back to you. I hope I answer your questions. I love Nelson Mandela. I love studying people who think. Nelson Mandela went to prison. The last time he went to prison, he stayed years in prison. He went in 6 feet tall. He came out 5'7", and they asked him how did he survive prison on the way he was treated, and he said gave a lot of reasons why, but one point he made that really made me like, He said they may have shrunk my body, but they didn't shrink my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So when he came out of prison, he began to put himself around other people that were purposeful to his calling. And bishops do approach me um, because I am that type of woman. I'm that type of leader. I'm that type of helpmeet. I'm that girl guy. I'm that friend. I'm that chick. Okay. But what I say is, I'm so honored that you are attracted to me, but I refuse to put myself back into that prison because I can't shrink anymore. And one thing I understood, that my decisions would lead me to a specific path. And I really believe now, where my life is landed, that and the group of people that God is allowing me to be around now are assisting and helping, and they are purposeful for for who I am right now. um I'm asked all the time by men of God. I'm just not in that space. If he's not a credential holder, I may, but that being in church like that and being just I don't have the grace for it. I don't have the grace for that anymore. And I wouldn't want to marry a bishop or a pastor and they be asking, where's first lady? Why is she not here?
Look
Why,
at
why,
Jacob
why is she
Johnson
not here?
comments, Martha. He said, I don't even tell anyone what I do because of the negative connotations and ideologies that pastors are labeled with. As a with, don't nobody want to be with us, good or bad.
That's true.
Well, Jacob,
Jacob, use your name. You better use it.
Jacob, it's not that all pastors have bad name. They don't have. I don't think everybody think all pastors are bad. Do they have a bad rap? Yeah, but all pastors are not bad. It's just I don't want to be in that space anymore, and I really believe that um, that was a choice. That I have reached the plateau in my life, my relationship with God, that I'm trying to find that scripture that wherever I am, He blesses it. So you can be with a businessman that loves God, that loves his family, he goes to church, he serves, he worships, but he's just not a credential holder. I got put on a blast about me making that statement. Is it okay for a woman of God to date someone who is not a credential holder? And they brought me over on Clubhouse, and I still stood my ground. I don't want to do it. I'm good friends with them, and we're cool, but that's just not my space.
All right. Martha, any last words? Thank you all for coming on. We've been on an hour, but it was
No,
good. People are texting. Any last words?
no, just thank you, Bishop, for sharing this platform. I think it was very needed.
Yes.
And I think that it will be shared weeks to come because somebody is desiring that office, that position. And I think somebody's going to really be blessed by what we've said because it's not all what people think it is. So thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Thank
Straight
you.
Talk. We appreciate y'all. Merry Christmas. And somebody said credential. That means you're a licensed preacher. You in your organization, you hold credentials. You're a credential holder. For an elder, you're a pastor, you're evangelist. So you ain't never paid no credential report.
Yeah, that part.
What church is that?
Some people say people have unrealistic expectations. They pastor just a man that is a called man. Okay, let's do that 1 minute and we're gonna go. Why is that? Why do people look at pastors like they're so the spiritual being? They're human. They're still a man.
Absolutely.
And people don't look. You know, they hard on pastors. I'm with Jacob this time. They hard on pastors. Pastors are human just like everybody else.
But Bishop, as you and I know, and it's unfortunate. It can be three bad apples in a whole tree, and somebody will not pick from that tree ever again. And I think it's just unfortunate. And I believe that there are some of us who are rising up to kind of change the trajectory of how pastors and how people are seen. I'm going to say this, and I'm finished my 1 minute. When my mother passed, God really shifted my mentality about a lot of things in leadership and authority and the apostolic and pastoring and all that kind of stuff. Never thought I would be back in it, but I'm doing a little bit of it right now. But one of the things I realize is, as pastoring, whatever you are, wherever your field is, I believe that wherever your field is, there flows a field of favor. And with that favor comes a restoration of character. And people will know you by how you tend to your field. And I just believe that there's a new wind blowing on those type on the pastorate, on the apostolic period. And we're gonna see some character shifts because exposure is still here. And although we are
Absolutely.
flesh and we have issues, but you don't allow your issue to become, to override and shame God. It's just, that's that old church school. That's that old school in me. They had their issues, but they respected God and they respected their title.
Absolutely.
So,
Amen.
it's
All right,
just,
we thank God for you all that's chimed in. You can. How can they reach you, Dr. Mercer? How can they reach you?
they can reach
People
me
want to
through
know.
my Facebook page.
Yeah, you all. Oh, wait a minute. You all are calling me, asking me a question about. I relinquish my rights to counsel you. These women of God can. They first ladies. I'm not a first lady. I'm a pastor, so they can answer things I cannot. So get in touch with Dr. Ann Mercer and Overseer Bennett. They can tell them how they can reach you all, because they tell me they would like counseling and different things, and they can reach out to you all.
They can message me through Facebook or they can email me. My name is Anne, A-N-E, Mercer on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter, or you can email me at drannmercer@gmail.com.
Mary and Martha?
You can find me on Facebook under Martha Reed. I'm also on Instagram as Ms. Martha _Ms. Peacock. But you could definitely reach out in my inbox on either one of those platforms. That'll be the easiest way.
All right, thank you all. Tell the twins I said hello. Tell Sylvia, my nephew, I said hello. All my nephews, we love y'all. Have a good Christmas.
Love you,
And,
Bishop.
Love you too.
Love you,
Love
Lady
you too,
May.
Bishop.
oh, I owe you a video.
Love you, Lady May. Yeah,
Lady
you owe
May,
me a video.
they said go make sure breakfast cook in the morning. Yes, right.
Bishop, I might walk up on you Sunday. I'll see.
Come on.
I'm leaving tomorrow. I'll be
I
down.
need to call you anyway.
All right, call me right now. I'm gonna call. All right, love you all.
All right, love you all. Thank you all.
Love you too.